gardening friends. It's Mary from Rocky Mountain Gardens. And you know it's January, but I am starting to think about my garden, even though it's quite early, especially for here in the mountains. But one thing I wanted to do this year was to have a more effective garden journal to keep a record of what I do out in my backyard this year. So I wanted to share with you what I'm going to be using, and to give you an idea of what I've done in the past. I have this journal that my daughter gave to me, and I have sections that I've marked off with sticky notes that are for care of plants, my 2019 garden, and all the different types of plants that I buy and plant in my garden, such as sun perennials, shade perennials, sun-loving plants for containers, and I have different sections in here. And so this book I used last summer and spring, but I wanted to get something that I could use that would be sort of a chronological record of what I do in my garden each year. So I also have this journal that it was a gift as well. And last year I did a plan for my 2018 garden here on the first page. And then I started a record of when I turned on my sprinklers in the spring. And also I wanted to put in here when I turned them off in the fall, but of course I forgot to do that. So having sort of this scattering of books, this one and this one, and then I additionally made a garden journal. It's this book is called a photo folio, and it was designed by a woman who does a lot of scrapbooking on YouTube and Facebook. Sorry, it's called a garden journal photo folio, and I'll give you a look at it a little bit later in the video. But this one, just to give you a quick peek at the inside, is where I have stored a lot of photographs of different areas of my garden and favorite plants, flowers that did well, and so on, friends who visited my garden. And I can give you a look at that as well. But this is more of a photo storage sort of resource, for my garden and the plants that I love. But this year, I'm going to really try very, very hard to use a garden journal that will be at my fingertips, that I can use to take notes in chronologically as we go through the seasons of spring, summer, and fall, and what I have done in my garden, what's been successful, what was a failure, and different things like that. So I wanted to show you this book because I think it's going to be effective and easy to use for me. It is a spiral notebook, which I like because then I can take it outside into my garden. I can flip it over like this and carry it around and take notes. So that's a good way to utilize a tool like this. But it is very plain. As you can see, the back is just a plain, forgot what this material is called. I'll put it up here as soon as I remember the name of this material. But that thicker cardboard, that you use in notebooks. So it's very stiff and strong. I like that. But it also is very plain. It's just this brown, plain looking cardboard. So what I'm going to be doing is covering it, and I've already worked on the cover. I put a little card here with a picture. I believe that is might be some kind of spider wart, but regardless, a pretty picture of a plant on the front cover to remind me that this is my garden journal. And then I used a material called contact paper to cover it, and it's got a very kind of a slick surface, and it's got a sort of a matte finish. It's not super shiny, which I do like. And contact paper, I'll get a roll of it so I can show it to you. You can buy it at Walmart, for example. But clear contact paper, and I attached this card to the cover, and then I covered the whole thing with contact paper. And next, inside, I placed one of my scrapbook papers. I cut to the size of this inside cover, and I covered it so it would look nice and pretty. And what I'm going to be doing and showing you in the next segment of this video is how to cover the cover of the outside of your spiral notebook if you want to dress it up and have it look pretty while you're using it in your garden. So we'll be covering this, and I'll demonstrate how to do that. And then also I'm going to be doing some decorating on the inside of this book because it is just plain lined paper, which is great for writing and taking notes. But on the other hand, I just wanted to look a little pretty for my use in the garden. So I'll do a little decorating, and I'm going to share with you how I've done that so that you too can have a really nice garden journal to use during the next growing season. So here I am doing a demonstration of how I covered the chipboard back cover of my journal. So first of all, I'm placing some scrapbook paper that you see right there on the back cover, right on top of the chipboard, and I'm using a product called Score Tape, which is a very strong adhesive. And now I'm going to be adding the contact paper cover. So I'm laying my book out flat on my table, and I'm going to remove the backing on the contact paper. And I'm also then going to be standing up here so I can get a good angle as I'm trying to cover the back cover straight. And you'll notice I can pull that contact paper back up to make sure I get it on straight and with no bubbles. And then I turn it over, and I'm going to be burnishing a little bit, as you see there, with my fingers. And now taking my scissors, and I'm going to be trimming the corners somewhat so that I can get a finished look to those corners. The corners will be protected from water damage, and that corner will be done very nicely. So here I'm putting the bottom and the cover, folding it over, and then trimming the other corner. I'm going to attach that first, and then do the top of the journal. You'll see there's the corner, and I'm going to pull that contact paper over very tightly to the top and press it down nicely. And then lastly, we tuck everything in on those corners and then fold the last flap up and burnish it very nicely with our fingers. Make sure it has a good stick. Okay, then we'll cover all the mechanics with another piece of scrapbook paper, and you can see I'm removing the cover on that double-sided score tape there, and then I'll be very careful as I try to line that up, and I'm going to go from the outside corners, make sure I cover them well, get all those mechanics covered, and then I'm going to take my fingers and press it down, and notice how I'm pushing down and burnishing it so everything is stuck very nicely. And there you can see the inside of the front cover and the back cover. All finished. Hi, I'm back, and I have my completed garden journal right here. I'm so excited to use it this spring. Now, as I said earlier, using contact paper will protect my book from any kind of water, or if it starts raining when I'm outside taking notes about my garden. I've got my protective cover, and if you remember, I said I used something called contact paper, and it comes in a roll like this. And as I said, I bought it at Walmart. It has quite a lot on here. You can use it for all kinds of crafts, but it was about $5 and some cents for this whole pack. And it's a really great product because unlike the old contact paper, it is actually, I think it's called repositionable, meaning that if you place it down, you might have seen me doing that, if you place it down on your cover or whatever project you're working on, you can pull it back up and reposition it on your project to get it, you know, if it's crooked or whatever. So it is a really wonderful project. I do recommend it. So you saw how I did the front and back cover. I added here in the center, you can see there's like a little flap here, and that opens my book to my veggies section. Now the veggies section is a small part of my journal because I really have a very small part of my garden that is in a raised bed that I have been planting vegetables in, and actually last year was my first year. So I don't have a lot of need for space to write notes and so on, although I do want to show you, for example, I have a pocket here that says best seeds on it, and one of my successes was little marvel peas that are an heirloom variety, and they're a bush pea, and I really enjoyed that last year. So I'm saving my seed packet, and I have a pocket to place it in. Now you can make pockets, or you could just glue your seed packet into your book so that you could remember, you know, the next season which variety that you bought that did so well. At the back of the veggie section, I have a pocket here, and it says failures. These things that I would place in here are tags from a garden center. For example, I bought this variety of tomato last year. It is called Brandywine, and oh my gosh, it was diseased. It did horribly in my vegetable garden. So I want to keep this so I can remember, don't buy this variety next year. So I've got an envelope here, and with a flap, and it closes, and it can keep my tags in there from, and this is specifically when I have bought plant starts at a nursery, and I want to remember what did well, what did not do well. So these are my fails in this section of the veggie thing. But what I've done is basically just done some decorations. Like on this page, you can see I put an edge to the page just to make it look pretty. I put this card in here, and it is actually a pocket. If you can see, I can pull it open from the top. That would enable me to place things in there that I want to save from that year's gardening. So I have quite a few of these pockets throughout my garden journal. So I want to show you, let's see, in the front of my journal, when you open it up, it starts off with, you know, a first page to begin taking notes and journaling, some decorations, and as you flip through the section, we do have some decorations that I can write around, and a pocket here that I could put garden tags in or anything I wanted to save. And as you flip through, I just have some pages with some pretty paper because I want my journal to look pretty, and I can write on this side and just have this pretty floral design over here. Up here, I have another pocket card, and it literally is acting as a pocket again. I can both write on it and take notes and place anything I'd like to save inside that pocket. So if you would like to use something like washi tape to decorate your pages, that's a really quick and easy thing to do. You just stick the washi tape down, cut off the sides, and it's good to go. And it's a really cute look on a page. And it gives you, of course, still lots of room to do journaling and taking notes. Another thing I did is putting on the edges of pages just some scrapbooking paper. So I just put the scrapbooking paper down here on the edge, and you probably can notice that I sponged the edges. That gives it sort of that vintage look. It's just something I like. It's a personal preference. You can, of course, decorate your journal any way you like. So there's some tips on things you can do with your book. You can do entire pages, and actually, you know, if you occasionally use a piece of scrapbook paper on the entire page, it actually makes it stiffer, and I think it'll hold up a little bit better over time. So, you know, I want this journal to be something that I use for several years, and I can add more decorations as I go if I like, or I can you know, just continue chronologically to document each season what I'm doing with my flower garden in the beginning of my book. And back here where my little tab is, that's my veggie section. And I can do my documenting and my recording of successes or failures in the veggie section separately, and make good use of this book to help me in the future be hopefully a better and more successful gardener. I highly recommend that you try creating a garden journal. It's not a hard task, doesn't take a lot of time. It just took me maybe 1 or 2 hours to put this together. And that was while I was filming the video, of course. And I wanted to let you know that I got this book, this pre-made spiral book, at Barnes & Noble. So starting with a pre-made book makes your job so much more easy. And you can go ahead and do the decorations like we talked about and personalize it for yourself. And then hopefully in the future, like this season, you will do some planning and some journaling and note-taking about your garden so that your garden will be a big success this year. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be back again for my next one.